Hi everyone, I am Robyn Robbins, founder and CEO of Robbins Enterprises, where I faithfully, humbly, and excitedly serve as a best-selling author, a certified life coach, speaker, and advocate. Thank you so much for taking this opportunity to spend a little time with me today. For those of you that are new to my channel, welcome. Today, I thought it would be really good to kind of go over trauma in a more specific way as it pertains to this channel, so that you all can have clarity on the types of trauma that we discuss and that we will be going over on this channel. So again, if you see me looking down, it's because of my notes. I really try to have pretty efficient videos where they're not too long, because I want to be mindful of your time as always. But today I want to talk about trauma. Well, what is trauma, right? Trauma is basically a really distressing and disturbing event and or experience. Trauma can also be physical injury, but of course, for the sake of this channel, we're more so talking about the psychological, emotional, and even physical trauma that one can endure from different types of abuse, if that makes any sense. So this is one of the things that I really like for people to understand when it comes to trauma, and I feel it's really important as well. Trauma is often defined by the survivor's experience. You may be saying, okay, Robyn, what does that mean? For instance, two people can go through the same exact traumatic experience and have two completely different outcomes. What does that mean? One person can go through that traumatic experience and it really traumatizes them and takes a lot out of them and puts them in a specific place, right? But then the other person can go through the same exact trauma and leave that trauma seemingly untouched. So we do understand that trauma is going to be defined by the survivor's experience. Each and every one of us is different. We internalize, we cope, and we just think of things differently. And so because of that, our experiences, or what one may consider to be traumatic, is going to be different. Here's a little keynote right here. I personally do not believe in putting traumas back to back, if that makes any sense, or comparing traumas, because I truly do believe that trauma is going to be based on that survivor's experience. So just really briefly, and again, this is not all of them, these are just the ones that 9 times out of 10 you will hear me talking about, or us discussing and interacting about. I compiled a short list of trauma that I thought would be good for you to kind of be mindful of, and or you may be able to say, wow, that's me. Like, I didn't even realize that was a thing, but that's me. I've experienced that, and I do recognize that it has played a major role or a major part in my life. Excuse my voice. I had an amazing weekend with amazing friends supporting a book launch, and so when you're excited and you're talking to a lot of people above music and stuff like that, it happens. So I kind of lost my voice a little bit. But here we go, okay? So these are some examples of trauma, the types of trauma that we would more so talk about here on this channel. So the first one is sexual abuse and or assault. Physical abuse and or assault. So let me give an example just for clarity purposes. The first one, sexual abuse and assault, is when you have experienced molestation, fondling, or sexual intercourse and or penetration against your will. And sometimes, it often occurs in childhood. And with that being said, you would be oblivious to the concept of what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. And so that's still considered a trauma or a traumatic event, depending on how you responded to it and how you reacted to it. Physical abuse, that's pretty much self-explanatory, and or assault. Emotional abuse or psychological maltreatment. This basically encompasses verbal abuse, putting extreme demands on one that would eventually affect their mental development, their social interaction with others, and so forth. The next one is neglect. This is one that's often experienced in childhood as well. Following neglect is victim or witnesses to domestic violence or community violence. This one is kind of like, I kind of have a little pet peeve with this one for the simple fact that we hear about domestic violence, and I tip my hat off to all the advocates out there. I feel really strong about domestic violence, but at the same time, one of the things, and maybe that's what I should say, is not a pet peeve. One of my concerns, I should say, is that I wish that there were more people that spoke up about the traumatic experiences and or how it affected them, those that witnessed it. We often hear the stories of those that receive the abuse directly, but we barely hear the stories of those that have witnessed it growing up and have been affected by it indirectly, if you will. And I believe that part of the voice of domestic violence is really missing, because it does impact the children that witness it greatly, sometimes way more than we'll ever realize. Moving right along, school violence and bullying. Victims and or witnesses of extreme personal or interpersonal violence. This means people that, find their parents dead, just for an example, or people that have experienced a homicide be done right in front of them, or experience a parent or someone, close in their lives commit suicide right in front of them. And then the last one from my particular list is traumatic grief or separation. This basically is when one experiences the death of a parent, a primary caretaker, or a sibling, and when it happens is pretty abrupt and or unexpected. Okay, so that pretty much concludes the types of trauma that we will be discussing here on this channel. If anything changes, of course we'll let you know. If you guys have any questions or any suggestions or any traumas that you didn't hear me list and you feel like it really would fit what we discuss here on this channel, I definitely would love to hear from you. If you are someone, and you can list your comments below, of course, and if you are someone that is interested and, you're saying, okay, I am a woman that has experienced traumatic experiences, and I do believe that I do have some residue from those traumatic experiences, and I would like to receive assistance and, going through a process which will help me to completely heal and ultimately rid myself of all the stain and or residue of the traumatic experiences. I am here to help you. That's the type of coaching that I do. Please, I promise you, I'll leave the link below for a free complimentary session just for you. So definitely click on that link and book your session. Thank you all so much for taking the time out to be with me. I love you so much. I hope this is giving you clarity, and like I said before, kind of let you know, like, hey, okay, that's me right there. So I love you, and until next Monday, have a great week, and remember to live life every day triumphant.